simplify. So all we need to do is we need to look at the top term and multiply it through and then divide. So we have minus times a plus will give me a minus. 4 times 10 is 40. Now what we will do is we will apply the laws of exponents and we multiply the letters. So we have m3 times m1 will give me m4, and n1 times n2 will give me n3. Now we focus on the bottom. So we have 5. There's nothing we can do there, so let's write it down and then we can see how further we can simplify it. So we have the 40 can be divided by the 5, and remember it's a minus divided by a plus, so our answer will be a minus. 40 divided by 5 is 8. Now looking at the rest of the question, we have m4 divided by m4 and we have n3 divided by n3. Now most learners tend to write the answer as m or n, or they'll write it as m4 and n3. But remember, these two cancel off. Anything divided by itself is 1. So these two will cancel off. And there is basically 1 there, which we don't have to write. And so this becomes our final answer. Looking at this question here, we have the word factorize. So we need to look for the common factors between these two terms. But we notice that there's no common factors between these two terms. But what we can see is 16 is a number that is squared. 4 squared will give you 16. Y squared is also a square. The term is being squared, y times y. We have a minus, and then we have 49. 49 is a square number. 7 squared will give you 49. So this is a difference of 2 squares. So all we need to do is we need to find the square root of the first term, which is 4y. We make this a plus. Find the square root of the second term, which is a 7. Put this in a bracket. And we do the same to the other term, or should I say bracket. And this would be our answer. This is known the difference of 2 squares. Common question in your exams. So make sure you look at this before answering your question. Factorize fully. So we have 3x squared minus 12. So we look for the common factor. So we pull out the 3. 3 is common between the both terms. And we open bracket. We have x squared minus and 4. Right? 3 times 4 is 12. Now looking at this, we can see that the x squared and the 4 are both squares. And there is a minus there. So this becomes a difference of 2 squares. So we find the square root of the first term, find the square root of the second term. 1 becomes a plus, 1 becomes a minus, and this becomes our answer. There's nothing further we can do to this, and this becomes our answer. Factorize fully. We have a question, and we notice that the powers are in ascending order. So it's good practice to put it in descending order, so it's easy for you to work with. So let's rewrite this in descending order. We have minus 3k cubed plus 12k squared plus 6k. Now the first thing we will do is look for a common factor, because the word factorize will tell us what we need to do. So we look at the numbers first. We can see that the 3 is common to all those numbers. And then we have the k, which is also common to all those terms. Now, if we pull out the 3, we notice that we will be left with minus k. Now, we don't want our first term to be a minus, so we pull out the minus 3. So pulling out the minus 3 will make it easier for us to work. So we have minus 3k, open bracket. So the first one will be k squared. Right, we will have to change the signs to accommodate for the plus sign. So minus times a minus will give me a plus. 3 goes into 12 4 times, and that will be k. And we make this a minus 2 as well. So 3 goes into 6 2 times, and we close bracket. Now there's nothing further we can do to the bracket to factorize it. So this becomes our final answer. Solve for x. So basically what we need to do here is letters on one side and numbers on the other side. So let's keep into mind that letters will be here and numbers will be here. So let's put that as our first step. So we have 2x the letters, and we see that on the other side there's a plus x, so we'll bring it over and we'll make it a minus x, is equal to 17, and we bring over the minus 3 and we'll make it a plus 3. So all I've done here is in the first step is brought the letters onto one side and the numbers on the other side. Then I will bring the like terms together. So 2 minus 1, now remember there is an imaginary 1 right there. So 2 minus 1 is 1, so I don't have to write the 1 down, so it becomes 1x or x, and 17 plus 3 is 20, so this becomes my final answer. Now how do I know if I got my answer right? I use this value of 20 for x and substitute it into either side, both sides, and make sure that both sides are equal and giving you the same answer. Alright, just to show you how it works, we have 20 into 20. Now this is just your test to see if you've got it right. You can do this mentally if you can, or you could just use your calculator and just get the totals on both sides. Minus 3, and we notice this will be 40 minus 3 is 37, right? And this is our left hand side, and then our right hand side will be 17 plus x, the value for x is 20, so that will give us 37, and we notice that the left hand side is equal to the right hand side. And this is how equations work, so we know that when I end in my paper I have full marks for this question. Show by calculation which is the better investment: 8,000 invested at 3.5% compound interest for 3 years, and 8,000 invested at 7.5% simple interest for 3 years. Now in both cases we need to look at the two different formulas for each of these offers. One is the compound interest, so we're looking at compound interest, and the formula will be A is equal to P to 1 plus I to the power n, and the simple interest will be P times I times n. Now in both cases the P will stand for the principal amount, right? The principal amount is the amount that you start off with. In this case it will be the 8,000 rand. All right, so in this case it's the 8,000 rand. That's the amount that we start off with. The I will be the interest. Now in both cases there are two different sets of interest that is given to us, but remember, for instance, if you're looking at the compound interest, the interest will be 3.5%, which will obviously be over 100. So it's very important that you take note of this. In the simple interest form we have 7.5%, right, and that will be over 100. So just take note of that there. This is just diarizing your information before you actually substitute. Then we have the n. The n will be the number of years. Alright, so this is basically the information that you're going to substitute into each of these formulas. So let's start with the compound interest. Now remember, compound means that each year the interest is accumulating. At the end of first year, that interest will now be the new amount in which we find the interest for the second year. With simple interest, it's the same interest all the time. It's the same amount. 8,000 will be for the whole 3 years, 7.5% of 8,000. But with compound interest, the interest added to that initial amount, 8,000, plus the interest will be the new year's amount in which we find 3.5%. Okay, using the formula, let's substitute. Right, so I'll do it down here for the year. Okay, create for space. Okay, we have the principal amount, which is 8,000, open bracket, 1 plus, now the I will be, we said 3.5%, which is over 100, right? You can, if you want to, put 3.5%, but make sure when you're entering in your calculator that you make note of the percentage sign. And the n will be, for the compound interest, it will be 3 years. So you punch this directly into your calculator and it will give you a answer. And our amount will be 8869,743. Now remember, we're dealing with money, so we will have to round off to 2 decimal places. So it will be 8869,74, and this will be the accumulated amount for compound interest. Now we come to the simple interest. The simple interest, just as is, we will substitute into this formula. Now remember, the simple interest is the interest only that we are going to be calculating for the 3 years. So we have the 8,000 times our interest, which is 7.5 over 100, and times the number of years is 3 years. Same, likewise, you can say 7.5%. You punch this into your calculator and you arrive at an answer. Now this will give you an amount of 1,800 Rand. Now notice this amount here is just the interest, but you need to know how much you will have in total. So you have to say, therefore it will be 8,000 plus 1,800, and I should get 9,800. Now the question states that show by calculation which is the better investment. Now because it's an investment, we want more value for our money, more money we want, so our answer will be the simple interest. So therefore the simple interest, right, is the better investment.